Imagine this. You wake up, kiss your kids goodbye, grab a coffee, and head to work, just like every other day. You're a decent person. You donate to charity. You help your neighbor with groceries. You believe in right and wrong. But by the end of the day, you followed an order that ruined someone's life. Maybe you didn't pull a trigger, but you signed a paper, clicked send, or kept your mouth shut. You tell yourself, I didn't have a choice. But what if I told you that's exactly how it begins? This isn't a story about monsters. It's a story about you and me and how people just like us have, throughout history, become the architects of horror. The real danger of evil isn't that it lurks in the shadows, waiting to pounce. The real danger is that it hides in plain sight, woven into everyday decisions, ordinary interactions, and quiet compromises. And worst of all, most people never realize they're slipping until it's too late. Evil doesn't announce itself. It doesn't bang down the door or wear a villain's cape. It whispers, it rationalizes. It wears the mask of reason, of necessity, of just this once. It starts small, a harmless white lie, looking the other way when something unethical happens, agreeing to something you're slightly uncomfortable with because it helps a friend, or because your boss asked you to, or because no one else is saying anything and you don't want to be that person. This is how it begins. Psychologists call this process moral erosion. It's the slow, almost imperceptible breakdown of your internal compass. Not in one giant leap, but in a series of baby steps. Each time you compromise, your conscience weakens just a little. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. This is reinforced by something called the foot in the door effect. If someone agrees to a small, unethical action, they're statistically far more likely to agree to a bigger one later. This principle has been used not just by marketers, but by manipulative regimes in dangerous organizations throughout history. The Nazis didn't start by asking citizens to kill their neighbors. They started by asking for silence, for passive agreement, for loyalty to the group. History shows that almost no one goes from moral clarity to atrocity overnight. They drift. And the most chilling part? They often don't notice the drift at all, because each new step seems justifiable, necessary, even good. What once would have made you recoil slowly becomes routine, and by the time you reach the cliff's edge, you don't even remember how you got there. Now imagine you're in a lab. A man in a white coat tells you to press a button. You do. From the next room, you hear someone scream. You hesitate. He assures you it's just part of the experiment. You press it again. More screams. You're visibly disturbed. You ask to stop, but the man in the lab coat says, the experiment requires you to continue. What do? This isn't fiction. This was the Milgram Experiment, one of the most chilling psychological studies ever conducted. Over 65% of participants, ordinary people, continued delivering what they believed were potentially lethal shocks to strangers, simply because they were told to. Why? Because obedience is deeply wired into us. From childhood, we're taught to follow orders, respect your elders, obey your teachers, don't question authority. This training doesn't disappear when we grow up. It just shifts to bosses, leaders, governments. When an authority figure issues a command, the brain often responds not with ethical reflection, but with automatic compliance. This is why soldiers follow immoral orders, why employees participate in corrupt business practices, why citizens enforce oppressive rules. The justification? I was just doing my job. But obedience without conscience is not duty, it's surrender. The My Lai massacre in Vietnam, the Holocaust, corporate crimes, all of these were carried out not by monsters, but by people who believed they were just following orders. The danger is not obedience itself, it's blind obedience. Because when you stop asking questions, you also stop being human. Human beings are social creatures. We seek connection, identity, and belonging. It's in our DNA, but the same instinct that binds us together can tear us apart. When we divide the world into us and them, something dangerous begins. Loyalty to the group becomes a higher priority than empathy for outsiders. This is tribalism, the ancient instinct that helped early humans survive, but has fueled some of humanity's darkest moments. It starts innocently. Team pride, national identity, political affiliation. But then it festers. They become different, untrustworthy, dangerous. Once a person is labeled as the enemy, their humanity fades in our eyes. History is full of examples. Nazis referred to Jews as vermin. In Rwanda, Tutsis were called cockroaches. In every genocide, propaganda preceded violence. Why? Because it's easier to harm someone you no longer see as human. This still happens today, just with new labels. Online mobs call opponents trash. Immigrants become invaders. Political rivals are traitors. And in that moment, when we cheer for someone's downfall because they're one of them, we become complicit. Group loyalty is powerful, but when it overrides empathy, justice collapses. To resist this, we must look beyond the group, beyond the label. We must see people, not enemies. Because the moment we stop seeing each other as human, there are no limits to what we might justify. And that's when the descent accelerates. No one wants to believe they're a bad person. So when our actions contradict our values, the mind doesn't rush to accountability. It rushes to justification. It's not really my fault. I didn't have a choice. I was protecting someone. This is cognitive dissonance, the tension between what we believe and what we do. Instead of changing our behavior, we rewrite the story to preserve our self-image. It's not just the powerful who do this. We all do. A politician silences critics for the greater good. A manager fires someone unfairly but says, "It's just business." A person cheats in a relationship and blames stress or neglect. Each time we justify harm, no matter how small, we reinforce the belief that we're still good. But that's the trap, because the next time it's easier. This is called moral licensing. Once we see ourselves as good, we unconsciously give ourselves permission to do bad. I've done so much good. I deserve this. This is how good people slowly lose their moral footing. It's not because they wake up and choose evil. It's because they keep telling themselves they're still good. And by the time the truth hits, it's buried under a mountain of excuses. The most dangerous shift in the human psyche is not anger. It's not fear. It's dehumanization. This is the moment when someone stops being a person in your eyes and becomes a problem, a threat, a thing. Once that line is crossed, anything becomes justifiable. This is how genocide happens, how torture becomes policy, how silence becomes complicity. In Nazi Germany, neighbors turned in neighbors. In Rwanda, friends killed friends, not because they were born evil, but because language, ideology, and fear erased their empathy. Even today, social media enables this. One viral video, one out-of-context post, and a person becomes a villain to millions. It's easy to mock, easy to condemn, easy to forget there's a human being on the other side of the screen. Dehumanization doesn't require hate, just distance. To fight this, we must actively choose empathy. Every single day, look into eyes, hear stories, ask questions. Because the moment we lose our ability to see others as human, we lose a part of our own humanity too. If this descent is so subtle, so natural, so human, how do we stop it? With awareness, with courage, with the willingness to face uncomfortable truths. We must start with the realization that none of us are immune. The moment you say, "I would never," is the moment you stop watching your own behavior. Ask yourself, have I justified something lately that I knew was wrong? Have I blindly followed authority without reflection? Have I stopped seeing someone I disagree with as fully human? The battle between good and evil isn't fought on distant battlefields. It's fought in your daily decisions, your quiet moments, your inner dialogue. So now that you see the path, the question is no longer, how could they? It's, what will I do differently? Starting now.